a marketing budget's shrinking is probably one of the most commonly asked questions I'm getting recently, where people are just seem to be asking more of the agencies if I'm seeing a bit of a drop in what clients are willing to spend on SEO and PPC. Seems to be also following like a trail of questions from the client to the agency, which seems to be relatively new. And I don't think that the budgets really are shrinking. It's probably just expectations are being forced to be higher for the agency. So if you look at essentially any paid platform at the moment, so you've got Amazon, PPC, ads, social paid, every single one of them have seen essentially a big increase in cost per click. And if you kind of part the waters to e-commerce businesses to start with, if they're working with a fixed profit on that product, the GP is 40, 50%, and they're seeing an increase in cost per sale, and that usually forces them to question the profitability on campaigns. And one thing I've really noticed is the people who are querying performance at the minute is very senior people in the business. So it could be like director level, where perhaps they've looked at the P&L essentially, or what the EBITDA is, what's kind of eroding the profitability. And with the rising costs of marketing, it's putting it under a lot of scrutiny. So an example of this is I had a client come to us recently where they were achieving essentially a 3 to 400 ROAS, and on the face of it, it obviously seems like a profitable campaign. You're getting a £3 to £4 back for every £1 you spend. But their GP was so low, the industry was just so competitive, it was actually running at a loss. And they just didn't have the infrastructure there to record or instigate like a second purchase or a third purchase. So PPC was massively unprofitable for them. And what they basically did was want to shrink the spend down, achieve a 700 ROAS, where they're back in profitability, and then scale up essentially. But then they'll build in factors to get second purchases. And I'm finding that quite a lot where people are searching for support, where the campaign, the wasted spend or the mismanaged of the campaign, just you can't get away with it anymore. Just the way the CPC is currently looking at the moment for a lot of platforms, it's unrealistic. The other side of this coin is essentially clients which are kind of SaaS models, or they'll have a big payoff for a lead generation, so they can weather the storm. So if you're working in a service where you're putting I don't know, loads of IT equipment into a building, like a tender perhaps, or something like that kind of level, you can weather a 10, 20, 30% increase in the cost of sale usually, as long as there's no change in the lead quality. So e-commerce brands, I think, are absolutely right by going through and trying to find alternative suppliers. And that's just PPC. If you look at SEO, similar story, where what the rising costs in ads and other platforms are doing is putting more emphasis on SEO. They're seeing, we're charged X amount a month, why can't we do this organically? And it's just forcing businesses to really reevaluate the service of the agency. So what they tend to do is adjust or correct the spend based on what it needs to be on profitability, go to a new agency, and then it's really tasked on driving that ROAS or the ROI as quickly as possible. So it seems to be that kind of narrative being driven by a lot of clients to agencies, and usually starts with, we've been reassessing the campaign, and the profitability is off, and why is that? What can we do? And then it might go to market, essentially look for a new supplier. And one of the benefits in my sphere is obviously looking for a freelance arrangement, I guess, where it's not a huge retainer over 12 months. You're essentially working with, hourly basis kind of pay model and things like that as well. So yeah, it's a really challenging time. I mean, leads this time of year are typically lower. People don't want to change when they're coming into key trading periods, and so on. So there's definitely something going on in the industry, and perhaps it'll pick up, post December. But yeah, it feels like there's a massive scrutiny when people are getting the year ends in, they're getting the monthly management report in, and they're seeing a huge erosion of profitability. And marketing spend is a big driver of that, where perhaps last year they got X amount of sales for X amount of spend. It's not translating this year. You've got GA4 considerations where that translation piece between sale and tracking isn't quite fully there, 100%. And then you've also got dynamics of raising costs, market shifts, and the agencies that are getting caught out, unfortunately, are the ones that are very stagnant, where they'll rely heavily on automated bidding strategies and not do the work to really assess them either. They'll just let it run, and performance is performance, up and down. Um, so it can be a good thing for clients, I think, just to reevaluate that spend. And the agencies that I work with are kind of seeing a unanimous change in behaviour, where perhaps the budget's a little bit more challenging to get signed off, or perhaps the upfront budget just isn't there till they get profitability back under control. But I think it's generally exciting as well, because it should raise the level of work that's getting outputted to clients. So really exciting time, I think, for the industry, and I think it's only going to grow, this expectations to deliver more on less budget when we see these rising costs as well. And diversification into SEO, email marketing could be a big one as well, where they try and capture as much sales and revenue from that CRM database as possible. So yeah, genuinely excited time, and I think this should definitely raise the level of work that's going out for a lot of agencies, being forced to really kind of hone in, have that commercial mindset of profitability. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing it from the leads that are coming in to speak to us, where the reason they're looking to move is the person managing it just hasn't been commercially adapted to the business, where they think 300 ROAS is great. Well, actually, they need 7 to be actually profitable. And obviously the considerations associated with that, or they just kind of winged it for a bit of time, and now they're getting really caught out on profitability, especially with e-commerce as well. And a lot of people are trying to box this up as seasonality, or it's just not as busy as it was this time last year, or cost of living, or whatever it may be as well, when actually it could be wasted spending the account. So really interested to see how this one develops, and it's definitely a trend I've been noticed for the last 4 to 6 weeks. And yeah, I'm getting asked that question quite a lot from the agencies, and also I'm seeing it from the clients as well. So yeah, interesting kind of Q4 it looks like, and see how this materializes over Black Friday, Cyber Monday, obviously the December busy period for e-commerce brands and services as well. Very interesting.